It's the hottest day of the year. The sun is beating down, turning your car's interior into a sauna. The leather seats are sticky, the steering wheel is almost too hot to touch, and you're desperate for relief. You jump in, start the engine, crank the AC to max, and brace for that glorious blast of icy Arctic air. But instead, nothing. Just a pathetic, lukewarm sigh from the vents, pushing the same stagnant hot air around your cabin. Your heart sinks. Your mind immediately jumps to the catastrophic scenarios. Is my compressor shot? Is this going to be a $1,500, $2,000, or even a $3,000 disaster? Here's the shocking truth that the auto repair industry doesn't always advertise. The overwhelming majority of cars with this exact problem have absolutely nothing wrong with their expensive, hard-to-replace components. Instead, they are suffering from incredibly simple, often overlooked issues that can cost next to nothing to fix, if you know what you're looking for. Mechanics rely on a systematic process of elimination, and once you understand that system, you hold the power. Over the next few minutes, I'm going to expose the industry's biggest secrets for fixing a car's AC. We'll walk through the system step by step, just like a master technician would. And most importantly, I'm going to reveal the two critical, wallet-draining mistakes that 90% of vehicle owners make, which can turn a minor inconvenience into a catastrophic failure. The first secret is the most common point of failure, yet it's expertly hidden from view, tucked away deep inside your dashboard. This is the blend door actuator, and it's responsible for more misdiagnosed AC problems than any other part. This small plastic box, usually costing around $50, has one simple but crucial job: to physically move a door that mixes hot air from your heater core with cold air from your evaporator. It's the gatekeeper of temperature. Over time, from thousands of heat cycles and engine vibrations, the cheap plastic gears inside this actuator strip crack or break entirely. When this happens, the door it controls loses all command and often flops into its default position, which is usually full heat. This means your AC system could be working perfectly, producing frigid ice-cold air just a few feet away from you, but the blend door is physically blocking it and forcing hot air from the heater through your vents instead. A less than honest mechanic might skip this diagnosis entirely. Why? Because diagnosing and replacing a buried actuator takes time and patience, and they can only charge you for a $50 part. It's far easier and infinitely more profitable to pop the hood, glance at the compressor, and quote you $1,500 for a new one. But you can test it yourself in 30 seconds. With the engine running, have a friend slowly turn the temperature dial from the coldest setting to the hottest, and then back again. Put your ear near the passenger side footwell, under the dashboard, and listen intently. You should hear a faint whirring noise or a series of soft clicks as the actuator moves the door. If you hear a desperate grinding, a loud clicking, or complete silence, you've found your culprit. As a last resort, you can try pulling the main HVAC system fuse for a few minutes. This can sometimes force the actuator's control module to recalibrate its position and may restore cold air temporarily. If it does, you have 100% confirmation that you need a new actuator, not a new AC system. But what if the actuator seems fine and you can hear it moving? The next stop in our diagnosis leads us to the engine bay and the single biggest scam in AC repair: the compressor clutch. A lazy mechanic will pop the hood, see the large pulley on the front of the AC compressor spinning, and confidently tell you the compressor is working, so the problem must be something else, like a major leak, Or worse, they'll see it's not engaging and immediately condemn the entire compressor unit. Both are often wrong. The main pulley on the compressor spins constantly as long as the engine's serpentine belt is turning, but that doesn't mean the compressor is actually compressing refrigerant. For that to happen, a powerful electromagnetic clutch on the front of the pulley has to engage. This clutch grabs the center hub of the compressor and locks it to the spinning pulley. When you turn on your AC from inside the cabin, you should hear a sharp, definitive click from the engine bay. That is the sound of the clutch engaging and the compressor starting its work. Go look at it. With the engine running and AC on full blast, observe the front of the compressor. If the outer pulley is spinning, but the center hub is completely motionless, your compressor isn't pumping anything. But this does not mean the compressor is dead. It usually means the clutch isn't getting the electrical signal to engage. This could be caused by a simple blown fuse, a faulty $15 relay, or a corroded wire. On many Honda and Toyota vehicles, for example, the AC clutch relay is a notorious failure point. You can often test it instantly by swapping it with an identical relay from a non-essential system, like the horn. If you swap relays and your AC suddenly kicks on, you've just saved yourself a $1,000 repair bill. An electrical issue is a cheap fix, but the most common fix people attempt at home is where the real irreversible damage begins. I'm talking about those DIY refrigerant recharge kits you can buy at any auto parts store. Using one of these is, without a doubt, the single most destructive thing you can do to your car's AC system. Here's the brutal truth. Refrigerant operates in a perfectly sealed system. It is not a consumable fluid like oil or gasoline. It doesn't get used up. If your system is low on refrigerant, you have a leak. Period. Adding more refrigerant with one of these cans is like pouring water into a bucket with a hole in it. It's a temporary measure that completely ignores the root problem, but it gets much worse. The real danger lies in the stop leak additives that many of these cans contain. These are advertised as a miracle cure that will seal your leak from the inside. In reality, this gooey sealant circulates through your entire AC system. The moment it comes into contact with air or moisture at the site of a leak, it hardens. The problem is, it also hardens inside the microscopic, precision-engineered passages of your expansion valve, orifice tube, condenser, and evaporator. It's like pouring concrete into the arteries of your AC system. It turns a small, easily repairable leak into a full system contamination that requires a multi-$1,000 replacement of every single component. Furthermore, adding refrigerant without proper equipment is a dangerous guessing game. The cheap gauges on these cans are wildly inaccurate and only measure low side pressure, which is meaningless without knowing the high side pressure and the ambient air temperature. Overcharging the system can create dangerously high pressures that can damage the internal valves of your compressor or even blow out seals, creating new, bigger leaks. A professional uses a manifold gauge set, a vacuum pump to remove all air and moisture, which turns into corrosive acid inside the system, and charges the system with the exact weight of refrigerant specified by the manufacturer. Never use a recharge kit. Find and fix the leak the right way. Fixing a leak is critical, but sometimes the system is fully charged and the problem still persists in a very specific, confusing way. This brings us to the great mystery of the highway versus city driving problem. Your AC works flawlessly when you're cruising at 60 miles per hour, pumping out frigid air. But the second you slow down and get stuck in stop-and-go traffic, it starts blowing warm. The moment you get back on the open road, it gets gets cold again. This classic symptom almost always points to your condenser fans. Your condenser is the small radiator that sits in front of your main engine radiator. Its job is to act as a heat exchanger, releasing all the heat that the refrigerant has absorbed from your cabin into the outside air. When you're driving at speed, the massive amount of natural airflow being forced through the front of your car is more than enough to cool the condenser. But when you're stopped, there is no natural airflow. The system relies entirely on 1 or 2 electric fans to pull a massive volume of air through the condenser's fins. If one of these fan motors has died or is spinning too slowly, the condenser can't get rid of the heat at low speeds. The pressure and temperature in the AC system skyrocket, and the system's ability to cool collapses. The test is simple. On a hot day, let your car idle, turn the AC to max, and pop the hood. You should hear and see the condenser fans running at high speed. If they are still or turning lazily, you've found your culprit. Before you replace them, also take a look at the condenser itself. If it's caked in a thick layer of dirt, bugs, and road debris, it can't breathe. Sometimes a simple, gentle wash of the condenser fins is all it takes to restore your AC's performance. The condenser isn't the only heat exchanger in the engine bay, and this leads to a secret that almost no one considers. Your engine's own cooling system has a direct and powerful influence on your AC. Think of your car's main computer, the ECU, as a survivalist. Its number one priority, above all else, is protecting the engine from destroying itself. Passenger comfort is not even a consideration. When your engine begins to run too hot due to low coolant, a failing thermostat, or a clogged radiator, the ECU initiates an emergency protocol. Its first line of defense is to shed any unnecessary load from the engine. The single biggest parasitic load it can control is the AC compressor, so the computer sends a command to immediately shut off the AC compressor clutch. Your air will go from cold to hot in an instant. In this scenario, your entire AC system is perfectly healthy. It's ready and waiting to work, but the car's brain has forbidden it to protect the engine. Many drivers will see their AC fail and immediately assume it's an AC problem, completely missing the fact that their temperature gauge is creeping into the red. They are focusing on the symptom, not the root cause. Before you spend a single dollar on an AC diagnosis, look at your engine temperature gauge. If it's running even slightly hotter than normal, you don't have an AC problem. You have a cooling system problem that is masquerading as one. If the engine and fans are working correctly, the problem might be something more insidious, happening deep within the system and creating a very specific and misleading symptom. This is the freezing evaporator deception. It's a strange phenomenon. You start your drive and the AC is blowing ice cold, maybe even colder than usual, but as you continue driving, you notice the airflow from the vents seems to get weaker and weaker, and the air gets progressively warmer. Eventually, it feels like the fan is barely blowing at all, even on high. This is a classic sign that your evaporator coil, the small radiator-like component inside your dashboard that actually gets cold, is literally freezing into a solid block of ice. As ice builds up on its fins, it completely chokes off the airflow, so air can no longer pass through it to get to your vents. This is often caused by low refrigerant pressure, or more commonly, a malfunctioning expansion valve or orifice tube. These components are responsible for metering the precise amount of refrigerant that flows into the evaporator. If they fail and allow too much refrigerant in, the pressure drops too low, causing the temperature to plummet below freezing. You can diagnose this easily. When the airflow gets weak, turn the AC compressor button off, but leave the fan running on high. After a few minutes, as the block of ice melts off the coil, you'll suddenly get a blast of cold, wet air from your vents. You might even see a large puddle of water form under your car from the AC drain tube. This temporarily fixes the symptom, but it confirms you have an internal flow problem that needs to be properly diagnosed and repaired before it causes more serious damage. An internal freeze-up is one thing, but what if your AC system is being actively sabotaged by the one system in your car that's designed to do the exact opposite? This is the heater core's revenge, a civil war being waged inside your dashboard. Many vehicles use a heater control valve to manage the flow of hot engine coolant into the heater core. When you want heat, the valve opens. When you want AC, the valve is supposed to slam shut, cutting off the supply of hot coolant, but these valves often fail, getting stuck in a partially or fully open position. This means that even when your AC is on full blast, there is a constant flow of 190-degree coolant circulating through the heater core. The tragedy is that the heater core sits right next to the evaporator in the HVAC box. Your evaporator is working overtime to produce ice-cold air, only for that same air to be instantly reheated by the scorching hot heater core just inches away, right before it enters your vents. The telltale sign is an AC that feels cool when you first start the car, but gets progressively warmer as the engine reaches its full operating temperature. The hotter the engine gets, the hotter the heater core gets, and the more effectively it cancels out your AC. This is a constant battle between your heating and cooling systems, and you, the driver, are the one who loses. Avoiding these individual pitfalls can save you a world of headache and thousands of dollars, but the two biggest, most costly mistakes are the ones that 90% of people make when faced with a failing AC. Please pay close attention, because understanding these 2 points is what separates a smart, empowered car owner from a perpetually broke one. Costly mistake number 1 is throwing parts at the problem without a proper diagnosis. It's a tactic in the repair world known as the parts cannon, and it's the single most expensive and inefficient way to fix anything. It's your money they're guessing with. You walk into a shop, and without performing any real tests, they sell you a $1,500 compressor because it's the most common and most profitable guess. When that doesn't work, they might guess the condenser or the expansion valve. You can spend thousands chasing a problem that could have been identified in minutes with a proper diagnostic procedure. Always demand a systematic diagnosis first. That means checking system pressures with a proper manifold gauge, performing a thorough electrical test from the fuse to the compressor, and conducting a proper leak detection test before a single part gets replaced. If a shop refuses and just wants to start bolting on expensive parts, you need to walk away. Costly mistake number 2 is ignoring your engine cooling system. As we covered, your car is programmed to sacrifice your comfort to save its own life. Many drivers see the AC fail, ignore the temperature gauge that's creeping slowly upward, and spend a fortune trying to diagnose a perfectly healthy AC system. They are so focused on the symptom that they completely miss the deadly root cause. Neglecting a simple coolant top-off, a bad radiator cap, or a stuck thermostat doesn't just lead to bad AC performance. It leads to a blown head gasket or a completely seized engine, a catastrophic failure that can easily cost $7,000 to replace. Suddenly, that AC problem doesn't seem so bad, does it? Apply these secrets systematically, and you can diagnose your own AC problems with the confidence of a professional, saving yourself from the costly misdiagnoses and outright downright scams that line shop owners' pockets. If you found these hidden automotive secrets valuable and want to empower yourself to save thousands more, do me a favor and hit that like button and subscribe for more secrets the repair shops don't want you to know. I'll see you in the next one.